Wolfenstein 2 is the hardest game I've ever played in my life. Nearly half the time when I play through it on the hardest difficulty, I will die around 20 times per mission and am left with my mouth wide open in awe at how ridiculous this game is. When comparing it to the previous game, the technological jump is amazing. Anyways, I tried to platinum Wolfenstein 2, and if you don't already know, this game has one of the hardest trophies in video game history. Mein Leben. How was it? I can't say this fucking word. This is the last trophy you will go for when trying to 100% the game. It can only be done after you play through the entire game once, and then you have to replay it all again on this difficulty. Mein Leben is the same as I Am Death Incarnate, except there's a permadeath feature where you must play through the entire game without dying. And this campaign's length is not short. It comes in at around 10 hours, but this can be a lot more if you are on a higher difficulty like you must be. The completion rate for this trophy is 0.1%, and even just thinking about this game's platinum trophy makes me sick because I now have PTSD from it. Seeing it in my game library gives me a similar feeling to what it probably feels like when your drunk father comes home with the belt. But at the end of the day, this game is free if you have a PlayStation Plus thingy. Phase 1 of this trophy is to beat the game on I Am Death Incarnate difficulty and do all the perks, collectibles, all that BS. So that's what we started with. The character we play as throughout this entire game is like literally dying, and he constantly gives us monologues about how he feels like he's about to just pass over to the other side. We have a ginormous amount of flashbacks to his childhood and previous games that are in the game's franchise. Within the first 5 minutes of the game, we are already dying and have a flashback to our mother when we were a kid, and another flashback to Death's Head from the previous game when we chose to save Wyatt or Fergus. Now I saved Fergus then, so I decided to switch it up and with the timeline to save Wyatt this time. I get surrounded by a ton of men and women, and they all partake in doing open surgery on me like the good old days without proper sanitization. If I don't die from the injury I already have, then I will from a slow disease taking me over soon. The whole intro to this game is like a giant fever dream, and we end up back as a little boy, and shocker, we have an abusive father. God, the 1900s sound like so much fun. Now, getting beat is one thing as a little boy, but Lord have mercy, our dad is the king of the kings when it comes to Child Protective Services #1 ops, because he takes us out back and shoots our dog right in front of our face to ensure we don't act up again. Jesus Christ, this is parenting. Finally, after that traumatic memory, our boy is ready to actually go to work and wakes up from his fever slumber dream. And just like my grandma, I can't walk or stand up for this entire game's mission. However, this is actually super fun because it's so silly and unique to other shooting games I have played, which I gotta give it to the developers of this game series. It truly is something else. Like at some point, we even get to roleplay with all the KKK members. Can't do that in Minecraft. Being disabled is obviously not much fun, but it really becomes a challenge when you try to take on multiple dudes at one time. And in addition to this, we have like 0 HP or movement because we are literally crippled. But at least we still have all our chromosomes in check, because that's all that truly matters. In good fashion, I end up dying repeatedly right in the intro of this game to really widen my butthole open and show me how much fun this game's gonna be. One of the first trophies in this game, which conveniently enough is very much missable like all the fun you could have with this game, you have to perform a takedown while in a wheelchair, which I actually did first try, immediately after a cutscene with this cute little scientist guy who has a ton of traps around the ship that are quite literally war crimes in the making. I went down a staircase with my wheelchair, and I'm not sure how I didn't completely eat shit, but I made it to the bottom and am extremely shocked. In this first part of the game, stealth is your #1 best friend. He even outdoes your right hand. You don't have like any HP, so you must really be careful with what you do. After taking down 2 men on a Friday night like usual, I end up just chilling on a wheelchair elevator. How thoughtful of them to be oh so kind and allow me to travel on the ship with ease. This is what modern advancements look like. Sadly, my screeching wheelchair alerted the first enemy I saw, and I immediately got mortally abused. Another hard part about this game's platinum trophy is the fact that the game doesn't have a lot of checkpoints, just dropped within the story. You basically have to go from main objective to main objective if you want to ever get anywhere in the game's story. I guess they thought that since Mein Leben is a trophy, they didn't really need to put checkpoints in it anyway. After another year of just rolling around like grandpa on that dementia pack, we find Anya, our baby mama, who gained a lot of weight honestly, and she's not very attractive anymore. We were also completely flipped upside down, and my schlong is most definitely going into my stomach. Grandpa interrupts our makeout session because he's still fed up about his balls not working anymore, and then we see the other half of our super talented group getting their asses kicked in by an old lady with a skin disorder, which we caused in the last game. And this fat lizard looking ass girl is apparently her daughter. Now I'm not sure how she squeezed her out of her vagina, but if that's possible, then so is you dropping a like and subscribing. Wolfenstein 2 is a very hard game, as I've said. but it's also a very funny game. The developers really upped it this time with basically everything. Like within the first 30 minutes of gameplay, we already get a Nazi fat joke, and it's amazing. The old lady who definitely has plastic surgery decides to call us out like it's 2017 YouTube, and she's deadass really about to drop a diss track. In order to avoid this devastating controversy, I decide to just drop my pants and go suckle her titties like she wants. Our homie Caroline is also with us, and she's about to die. This isn't a joke. She literally gets her head chopped off right next to us, and the old lady plays around with it in one of the most sick things I've ever seen in the game. Next up on the war crime agenda, the fat girl decides to RKO her mother and actually just sits on her because she is so goddamn fat. I'm pretty sure if a 600-pound woman fell on a 5-year-old kid, it's the same force as a 20-mile-per-hour truck hitting it. Don't fact check me on that, because I'm right. As the homies are fighting for their lives in the background, I am just chilling and putting on my Halloween costume because these things take time. You know, being beautiful is a lot of work, but I do try. After suiting up in the most ghetto Iron Man suit they released yet, I can finally walk again. Holy smokes, why don't we just do this to all the crippled people? Such an easy solution. Who needs years of therapy? I know I definitely do. You even get a trophy for walking again. I can imagine lots of disabled people would also like a trophy for walking. In fact, I bet they do it for nothing at all. We again traverse the vents, and I'm not sure how nobody hears us walking around in them. Like, for God's sake, I'm in a very heavy iron suit, which has got to creak a little bit in the sensitive areas. But anyways, the Nazi soldiers are apparently also deaf, and we take down a few of them on our own primordial journey in escaping this place. I end up overestimating my skills and get my bright pink baby hole spread directly open and die again. I then reach a cool lever, which I totally know what it does, so I pull it for shits and giggles to see what happens. I mean, confirm what I know happens. And as I knew what happened, the mothership gets detached from us like an umbilical cord from a newborn baby, and we are free. Just kidding, the ship is still full of Nazis running around with their wieners hanging out like a beach in France. I think my favorite graphical upgrade in this game has got to be Max. You can really see how much more retarded he has become with that negative amount of brain he has left. Oh, slap me silly and call me Billy, because right here is where I spent a good portion of time pulling out my hair. And a good reason as to why I'm not going to be getting this platinum trophy. Now, surprisingly, I only died once to this mini boss right here, but after killing him, we get a checkpoint, and then I have to go into this other room as a whole horde of enemies just appear, ready to be submissive and breedable. I died 100% approximate time of 5 times within 4 minutes. If this was a Mine 11 playthrough, I would have lost so many times, it's not even funny. And right after that mess of a room, we get a double officer stealth part where if you get caught, you die, there is no other option. So I decided to make the executive decision after dying multiple times that I would just run away from my problems because it works so well in real life. And again, in this next part, I die a lot more than I did in the last one, so I also just ran away from my problems and let my NPC friends do all the work, as I watch and admire the sheer girth of that woman right in front of me. Like, how do you even build up that much mass? I now see why fat people used to be praised. That amount of dedication to force feed Twinkies and expired honey buns is a skill set. Too bad you get heart disease earlier as your only reward nowadays. And maybe the occasional Gatorade sponsorship. All the jolly lads finally get off the ship or something, I don't really know, and we end up back at home base, I think. But in our home ship, there's apparently a Nazi signal transmitting from within, which is what gave us away in the first place. I'm not sure how we didn't know this, but there's literally an army living in our ship right next to us. So seeing as I'm the main character, they chose me to go creep around in the dark and murder a ton of people. I do this pretty well because at this point I was starting to understand, or at least actually try not to die. I even shut off their radio that was giving away our OnlyFans for free and got another trophy. But I'm not sure if it was worth it, since now the enemy knows exactly where we are and is broadcasting an alarm to all the homies so they can come gangbang me. And they did exactly that, making me feel like a less inferior man. But I finally made it out and rejoined the team of idiots who are fighting a losing battle, if we are being honest. Then we give Caroline, the headless woman, a cute little funeral for her and shoot her out into the sea. I don't want to sound rude, but we could have better used our resources. I'm sorry, I said it. Wyatt is the little boy we saved out of pity, and he's lost his mind. I think he got hit in the head or something, as you can tell by the bandage on his face. But unlike us, he didn't get a bigger penis and an insanely accurate shooting arm and war drive. He just became the most normal Genshin Impact player.
She said she was 12!
Upgrading weapons is a big part of this game, so I upgraded one of my weapons, buying a suppressor so I can hopefully not die as much. I practiced my aim in the training room and got a trophy for beating all the stupid NPCs who thought they were hot shit. And then we finally go on our first mission out into the real world, and Lord have mercy, it isn't any easier than it is to find a girl who won't cheat on you in 2023. The objective for today is to link up with some survivors in the city, and in order to find them, we have to sneak through enemy after enemy. I die so many times here, it's unreal. And stealthing is goddamn near impossible sometimes because of the stupid drones in this game. I don't know how you kill them without just alerting the whole goddamn Nazi army. Like, if it weren't for the drones in this game, I would honestly try and seriously do this platinum, but I just can't with these little fuckers. They drive me insane. But after After fighting lots of little abortions and a giant-ass robot boss, we reach the survivors, and there's like only 2 of them. Or at least only 2 that have the production value for a voice actor with lines. I get a trophy right before the Nazi zombie fight, and we escape with them after fighting off all the Nazi zombies like it's COD World at War. Max and Wyatt end up bonding a lot more than we all thought, but since Wyatt has a mental illness now, he can relate to the daily trouble of forming a rational thought and remembering where his penis is. And on the next mission, I finally reached my breaking point with this ridiculously stupid but yet fun game. If you guys haven't been watching the channel for a while, you don't know this yet, but I get angry at video games very fast. You know, the idea of losing to a computer really makes me mad as a Midwestern American man. But before I get to the part which ended this platinum trophy for me, I hijacked a trophy for a train which was cancer. And then we reached the pinnacle of all end level bosses, a giant robot with lots of foot soldiers who track your every movement, and there is nearly no cover in this entire room. I died here more times than I think I ever have on a single level in any video game, and eventually just got lucky by running past all of them, since there is no way I would be able to kill them all with the weapons I currently have. But before we did our escape, I maxed out a perk since I died and respawned so much it gave me a lot of time to just unleash rounds into enemies. Now at this point, I was really questioning if I could even do this platinum trophy, because I realized I would have to do this part of the game without dying, and honestly, I don't believe I could. But on the next mission, we got a flashback to my abusive childhood and find my dad still chilling at the old family house. So we get back at him and kill him for what he did to poor old Bessie. That son of a bitch finally got what he deserved. And then I reached the point of my journey in the video game rage hell where I decided to call it on Wolfenstein 2 for the time being, because I just can't be bothered with this shit anymore. Right here in this fucking floating house, you are constantly bombarded with robots and drones from every angle, trying to touch you in every fucking way possible. Now I mean every way. I basically lost my shit here and died so many times I ended up with around 34 reasons why, not just 13. I actually ended up finishing the mission, but yet again I am reminded I have to do that without dying, and I just don't see how that's even possible right now with my controller aim and skill level. But I decided to see where this shit would go next, and on the next mission I am about to be executed but somehow escape from my confinements and attempt to kill them all, but I end up just being murdered practically immediately over and over to the point where I just say fuck it, I can't with this game anymore, and decided to go play Lego 2K Drive for a more fun platinum trophy experience. But for whatever reason, I'm pretty sure if this video hits 10,000 likes, I'll do it. Shameless sellout, I know.